Hello again. Uh, I'm Nicholas Markey, physical therapist and owner of Beach Barbell Physical Therapy here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm a physical therapist by day and an online fitness coach by night. So, what are we talking about today? Today, I wanted to keep talking about back pain, sciatica, very common, a lot of people. So the question is, do you need to stretch or do insert thing, whatever, or thing you're always told you're supposed to do for back pain or sciatica? I make this a point because oftentimes people, one of the first things they tell me when they're talking about their back pain is like, I just know I need to stretch more. I'm like, okay, then why didn't you try that if that's the case? Um, No, I don't think that's necessarily true. Certainly, there's really no research that bears that out. But also, let's just think about stretching, for instance. And generally, I'm guessing when people are saying stretching, they're talking about like where you hold something and you hold it for like 30 seconds or a minute, kind of a static stretch because there's different things, we're not always talking about the same thing. Um, if they're just talking about they just need to move more, absolutely. Yeah, that's true. But like, do they need to specifically stretch for their back pain or sciatica? Hmm, maybe, maybe not. Um, the reason why I say that is just because all stretching really does is gets your body used to the stretch. So that's fine, but there probably more effective ways of improving if someone's having like a range of motion issue, like they can't move a certain distance, if they just feel tight, but then their range of motion's fine, stretching's probably not going to do really anything. But if they have like an actual limitation in their range of motion, like they try to bend over and they used to be able to touch their toes, but now they can only get to their knees or something, like okay, like we can find something to do for that, but there's probably some better things we could do, and we'll get into that near the end. So, and then insert other things. So sometimes there's Mackenzie, which is kind of like a style. I think of all these just different styles and names of just different types of kung fu, right? There's karate and taekwondo. So in physical therapy, you got Mackenzie, you got Maitland, blah 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 blah. Um, can those help? Maybe. If they're geared towards active treatment, like they're geared towards the person taking care of the problem. So Mackenzie was kind of famous for like having people lie on their stomach and press up for their back pain. Originally, they're saying because you were like pushing the disc material back in, which is probably not what's happening. But, for some people, it was an active thing to do, and it was something that you could teach somebody on day one, and then they can just go do it, right? So then they can have that forever. And so if it was something that they did, and they're like, wow, I really like how this feels, hey, yeah, that's free. And that's basically how I operate without any sort of special type of name for what I'm doing. Basically I'll take someone through their range of motion, say they come in for their back, they're having back pain and or sciatica, pain going down their leg. I'll have them do range of motion of their, whole trunk on all the different directions, just kind of got an idea what they're working with. Then I'll have them do range of motion, with their hips, in all the different directions. And from there, oftentimes we find some things we can play with. They'll do some movements and be like, "Yeah, I like that one." I'll be like, "All right, cool. There's one move you could work on." Then they might do some movements that are like, "I can kind of feel the pain a little bit, but it's not too bad." And then we say, "Okay, maybe that's another one you can do as well." And then maybe they do a move and they're like, "That really hurts. I hate that one." Then you say, "Okay, don't worry about that one." Pretty straightforward in terms of that. And then of course, a lot of these things are probably just going to be temporary. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just moving, being more active in general, and so that's where I'll talk about things of like, hey, you need to maybe set a timer every 30 minutes and just get up and walk around and move in all these different directions like we're doing. It's kind of like PE. Remember, you like do to toe taps, and you'd rotate and you go side to side, all that stuff you did in PE. Basically, you could just try your PE warm up. It's probably fine, minus like the sitting and holding a stretch forever type thing. Um, and typically, yes, these are going to be temporary effects, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with encouraging active movement and taking care of it. Because there might just also be like a thing of, you give someone something to do and then they can focus on something else because they have the back pain or sciatica, and so all they're thinking about is the back pain or sciatica. But if you give them something to do, now maybe they're thinking about, oh, I can do this thing, I can help myself. That's called self-efficacy, which basically just means that somebody feels confident in taking care of, themselves, kind of thing. And then typically, with this, I'm just kind of having fun with them. Like we're moving. Sometimes if able, we'll do some more dynamic movements like lunges and kicks in different directions. If they're able to kind of bounce around, maybe we'll do even some little bit of jogging and some karaoke. Kind of some of that fun, like sport type movements, which are just, you can call that dynamic mobility or stretching or whatever. And then they kind of have some fun with it. They're moving their body, they're breathing a little bit. You could have a lot of fun with it, which can also help with like the reassurance aspect we talk about. Someone feeling better about what they can do, and again, potentially increasing that self-efficacy. Oh wow, I can do this. I can take care of myself, and that's huge. We want to promote that as much as humanly possible from the get-go. That this is, and this is another point, that you have a positive prognosis. Okay, most of the time these things are gonna get better, kind of regardless of what you do. But you should go live your life. You should go gradually do the things you enjoy and like to do, like go out for walks, and just start small and build slow. That's okay. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to do. And sometimes seeing like a physical therapist or whatever, and doing that with them, where you're practicing all those movements and going, oh wow, I'm actually not too bad with that movement. Maybe just a good plus to that whole thing. So yes, you don't necessarily have to stretch. You don't or do insert blank thing for back pain or sciatica. You just need to just be active, be moving. And if you find ways of doing that, and they're awesome to you and good to you, and maybe sometimes some of them even kind of relieve some of your pain, at least temporarily, then more the better. And again, you have a good positive prognosis. You're most likely going to get better. Just most cases are. So you just go live your life. And my general advice to most people is go do anything and everything you like to do as long as you tolerate it. If you go do it and it feels okay to you, like somebody might say, oh, you shouldn't do X because you're back, but you feel fine and you feel fine after, don't listen to them. Just go do it. Go and enjoy your life. And then I want to throw out the wild card, like I always promote, is the strength training, right? Because the strength training is a movement, it's exercise, right? But it's a little different. We're not putting extra load. We're making our movement harder. And this actually, we talked about range of motion. Strength training, if you go through a full range of motion, you can actually create more range of motion doing that. That's kind of why I don't generally, unless someone cannot handle anything at all, then I typically will recommend more to do strength training. Like you can do, like let's say for their back, bending over is having an issue. But then we get them doing like a deadlift where they have to bend over. Okay, why wouldn't I do that, right? At the same point of me helping them work on their range of motion. And maybe it doesn't start full to the floor. Maybe the deadlift starts with it being up on something, or maybe kind of more like an RDL where they can go down as far as they can handle and come back up. There's lots of cool ways to play with that. Even just doing a squat, like a full range squat that they can handle, could be great for the back. And then, at my clinic here, we have the gym here, TF Fitness and Nutrition. There is a machine here that's just literally for back extension. So you lean forward and then you push it back, and you can change the weight to whatever you want it to be. That's a great one for range of motion because it's pushing you forward into flexion, which sometimes people have an issue with, and then you get to work all your muscles that are, extending your spine and a little bit in your glutes too. So basically all your anti-gravity muscles, your extenders, you get to work on those at the same time. So you get to kind of work on range of motion and your strength and your muscles, at the same time. So I'm all about trying to get the most bang for my buck here, right? And then, of course, just like any other exercise, strength training may potentially also reduce your pain. So if we're talking about more bang for your buck, we're talking about better use of your time, effectiveness. Why not just do that, right? And, again, if someone can handle it and all they can handle is just basic range of motion and that's all they can do for that particular area, then let's strength train other areas. What if we get a spillover effect from, working your arms and your back feels a little better after you do that? Like, why not? Because you should be strength training anyways, regardless of your back pain. So why not work all the other parts while we're at it? And then you can also explore potential variations that incorporate the back a little bit more, and maybe some of them actually work out pretty well. So it's always worth a try. And again, that's all kind of wrapped up into that reassurance piece that we harp on. So again, to kind of reiterate the question, do you need to stretch or do insert thing that you're told that you're supposed to do for your back or your sciatica, right? All these people that say, oh, you have to do this one weird trick. No, you just need to move and just check out different movements and kind of play with different angles and variations and find which one kind of works for you. You definitely if you find some that have a positive, temporary effect, like a temporarily pain relieving or whatever, then great, that's awesome. And also your back pain and sciatica, you have a positive prognosis, you're most likely going to feel better. So generally get back to anything and everything you enjoy doing, gradually, start with a little bit and slowly build up. And then, like I'm always harping on, get your strength training in regardless. Okay, so I think we'll end it there. So if you have any comments, likes, shares, subscribes, questions, whatever, all that cool stuff, help us out. Let's try to help each other out and try to change the world one video at a time. Until next time, Nick Markey here signing off. Peace.